Michael's unfortunately dead, the producers confirmed it, and Harold Perrineau, the actor who plays Michael, was pretty upset that his character is now officially dead, obviously. But that doesn't mean we won't be seeing him in the future. And I've been asked a lot about Jin, whether I think he's alive or dead. Sun believes him to be dead, but I really don't think so. I think the sole reason the writers have Dan out in the middle of the ocean in the raft is to rescue Jin next season. So the freighter sinks, and Sun's still freaking out. So Jack finally says, "Sun, he's gone." We flash forward to Sun off the island, where she finds Mr. Widmore on the streets of London. Sun confronts Widmore, knowing that he's aware of who she is, adding that Widmore knows that they've been lying about their experiences the whole time. She then suggests that Widmore and her have common interests, and gives him her business card, suggesting he calls her when he's ready to talk. She also reminds him that the Oceanic Six are not the only ones who left the island. Widmore, surprised, asks why'd she want to cooperate with him, and without answering, she leaves. Now it seems obvious that she really does want to help Widmore, because she knows he's trying to find the island just like she is. Obviously she has some ounce of hope that Jin is still alive, or it could be that she's even setting him up. After killing Kimi, Ben wants to go beyond the vault. Locke stops him and demands to know why Ben killed Kimi, knowing full well that a lot of innocent people on the freighter would die. Ben admits that it was the wrong thing to do, and that his grief over Alex clouded his judgment, and tells Locke not to make the same mistakes as the new leader. Locke is confused, and Ben tells him that there is a price to pay to move the island. The person that moves it must leave and never return there. So Locke is reluctant to let Ben leave, but Ben apologizes for all the misery he's caused Locke, and also tells him that Richard and his men will be waiting for Locke outside, ready to follow his every word. Then he darts off into the vault. And doesn't this picture of the vault kind of look like an angel? Ben also puts on the Halifax parka that we see him wearing in episode 9 when he time skips into the desert. Locke heads outside where he finds Richard and the others waiting for him, and Richard says, "Welcome home, John." Locke smiles. And I like the camera work here too, with Locke above them. They're literally looking up to him like he's on a pedestal. Inside the vault, the explosion caused a hole in the back, which Ben goes through. He reaches the end of the long, narrow passageway and starts to climb down some stairs into a frozen room. The ladder could even be referred to as Jacob's ladder from the Bible, which was a portal from earth to heaven. The ladder breaks, and Ben cuts his right arm, rips his jacket, and falls to the bottom of the room. This is the exact same condition he's in when he appears in the Sahara Desert in episode 9, wearing the same jacket, having the same cut. Inside the frozen room, we see stones covered in hieroglyphics. Not too sure what these hieroglyphics say, but they seem to be very similar to the ones on Ben's door, and on the hatch countdown timer, which had to do with the underworld, and something about steering, like steering a ship or a car. Then we see it, the giant frozen wheel. And a lot of you might know this, but the producers have a secret code name for the big secret each finale. Last year it was Snake in a Mailbox, which if you have any idea of what that is, comment and let me know. But this year it was called Frozen Donkey Wheel, which obviously this is it. Ben looks up and curses, "I hope you're happy now, Jacob." The way this angle looks, it almost seems like he's steering a ship, like the island's a gigantic ship with Ben steering through space and time. He starts to turn the frozen donkey wheel, and as he's doing it, he's crying, as it's physically and emotionally difficult for him. The island's all he's ever known. We see light coming through the other side as well. Frozen donkey wheel. Donkeys may have a hard time pulling in that cold, but polar bears on the other hand. The wheel also looks like a Dharma wheel from Buddhist teachings. Supposedly turning the wheel of Dharma represents a new phase, like the island's about to go through. The more he turns the wheel, the brighter the room becomes, until he turns it completely. Outside, we hear the same noise and see the same light that happened back in Season 2 finale when Desmond turned the failsafe key. And suddenly, the light completely envelops the island with the white light. And seconds later, the island vanishes. Ben moved it. And we have to assume by moving the island, Ben is sent to the Sahara Desert into the future. Like I just said, he's wearing the same jacket and has the same cut, and from what he said a little bit earlier, he notes that moving the island makes it so you can't come back. That's why Ben said last episode that moving the island is only a measure of last resort, because he can't come back afterwards. and I'll talk more about the island moving at the end of this video. The people on the copter are freaking out because the island vanished. They run out of fuel and make a crash landing. So you would obviously think an instant death for a few-week-old baby, right? Well, nope. The island must not be letting Aaron die. Even Desmond almost dies. Frank and Jack lug Desmond onto the boat, and Jack performs CPR, saving Desmond. Only Jack's kiss could awaken the sleeping Desmond. I was worried when we saw the previews showing the Oceanic 6 plus Desmond in the helicopter, thinking he was a goner when we saw him face first in the water, that the writers pulled a Rousseau on us somehow. But he's always voted the top favorite character in every poll I've ever seen, and my second favorite character besides Locke, so I'm glad that he's still alive. Also a little funny thing. Look how Hurley's wearing a life vest here. Literally, the next scene is this picture. We flash forward to Kate, lying in bed, and the phone rings. She picks it up and all we can hear are whispers, the third and final time we hear them in this finale. Here's what we heard in the show. But playing this whisper backwards, it's very clear what it says. Here it is.
The island needs you. You have to go back before it's too late.
The island needs you before it's too late. And whose voice do you think it's calling? To me, it either sounds like Locke or Sawyer or even Richard, or even someone else we don't even know yet. I'm just not sure. Kate hears a noise in Aaron's room, so she grabs her gun, obviously, and creeps in and sees a woman hovering over Aaron. We also see a picture of the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland on the back of Aaron's door. Remember in episode 12, Secrets and Recap, how I talked about the White Rabbits in Lost and how it comes up all the time? Well, here we go. It turns out to be Claire, at least a manifestation of her. She yells at Kate, "Don't you dare bring him back," referring to the island. Now, as I've said in the past few recaps, I think we have to assume that Claire is dead and that this is just an apparition of her. It also makes you wonder why in the same dream sequence one voice is telling Kate, "You have to go back," and the other one says, "Don't you dare go back," or at least take him back. Kate wakes up and realizes that it was just a dream. So she goes to Aaron's room, holds his hand and says, "I'm sorry." I think it's pretty safe to assume that Kate is apologizing to Aaron here because she knows that she and he have to go back to the island. On the raft, Jack and Hurley are arguing over whether or not Locke actually moved the island. Jack doesn't want to believe it because of Locke and his conversation earlier of believing in miracles. Then they see a boat off in the distance and yell for it. It sees them. As it's coming closer, Jack suddenly remembers Locke telling him to lie about everything that's happened to them, realizing that it must be done to keep everyone on the island protected from people like Widmore and Keamy, and quickly shares his plan with everyone. And from here on, the lie starts. It's interesting, though, they don't talk about the supposed 3 who survived the crash with them, so I'm guessing they work out these details later, as there must be some reason to include Boone, Charlie, and Libby in their story, their lie. But it does make sense that they'd have to lie, as they know someone went through great lengths to make sure the world thought that they're all dead. The rescue boat gets closer, and we can hear guys talking in Portuguese. They're saying to aim over there, and that it's a raft full of people, there's 8 inside, wondering where they came from. Someone saying get some blankets and first aid, and calling Miss Widmore down. The guy talking is Heinrich. If you remember, he's one of the guys from the listening station at the end of Season 2 who let Penny know that they supposedly found the island when the hatch imploded. Then we see Penny, and immediately Desmond jumps onto the side of the boat, climbs up, and they finally reunite. Desmond tells her he's never leaving her again. This line might cause some trouble in the future, and I'll talk about it later.